Hello, everyone. I'm Father Scott Vanderveer, and many of you know, but some of you may not, that this past weekend, June 26th and 27th, I announced to our parish communities that this fall, Bishop Scharfenberger, the Bishop of Albany, has asked me to take on a new assignment as the pastor of St. Mary's Church and School in Glens Falls. It is a huge honor to have the trust of the bishop that I can take on a big job during a really changing time in the history of our church and society, and I'm grateful for that. And I became a priest knowing that I would have many assignments in my life and that I needed to be extremely flexible in order to meet them. That doesn't change the fact, though, that my heart is breaking at the thought of leaving St. Patrick's in Ravena and St. Mary's in Coxsackie, these communities that have become my home, these people that are my family, this life that is the only life that I've known. So I wanted to share with you in a series of videos what I think transition means, in this case and in general, for me and for you and for all of us. I'll start by talking today about what it's feeling like for me. The night before the bishop called me to talk about this, which happened at a gathering of priests, I got to meet with the bishop and Father Bob Longabuco, the vicar general, in person. The night before that meeting, I was at this gathering of priests, and I wound up having a conversation after dinner with Father Jim Mackey. Father Jim, who's in his 80s now, was the pastor of my grandmother's parish in Troy when I was a little kid in the 1980s. I remembered him well from that time. And so I talked with him a little bit about what his experience at St. Michael's in Troy was like and what kind of experiences he had had there. And I asked him about some of his other assignments too, and he was going through the list. And then he said, you know, after St. Michael's, the bishop, who was Bishop Hubbard at the time, asked me to take a new assignment at St. Mary's in Glens Falls. And that wasn't an area that I had a lot of experience with. But he said, I was so happy there. What a wonderful parish. What a great community. What a wonderful group of people. He said, I look back on those years as very happy years. Now, that struck me as a lovely story about priesthood, as a great sign of God's love and grace in the life of Father Mackey. I didn't think it had anything to do with me. St. Mary's in Glens Falls, just a beautiful church that I've seen before, but not a community that I have any particular connection to. So then the next day, when the bishop and Father Bob came to talk to me, it was a bombshell that I was being moved. To be honest with you, I know that there are many, many movements going on in the diocese, and I know that with the shrinking number of priests, that there's a lot of realignment and reconfiguration going on to make sure that people's needs will be able to be met no matter how few priests there are. But I truly expected that I would be asked, upon the retirement of Father Mike in the parishes to the south of us, to take on responsibility for leading St. Patrick's in Athens and in Catskill. I thought I was going to be responsible for Catskill, Athens, Coxsackie, and Ravena. And I was nervous about that. But that's what I was preparing myself for. That's what I was girding myself for. When the bishop told me he had some news for me, I mostly suspected that that would be the news. But the news was different. And then comes the grace of Father Mackey's words from the night before. Father Mackey, who I haven't had a long conversation with in years. Maybe it was the longest conversation we've ever had in our lives. I remembered him as a towering figure when I was a little kid. This isn't a priest that I know very, very well, except in that role. Those words came to me. I was so happy there. What a special parish. What a great community. And I realized that God was taking care of me, that my transition was being wrapped in blankets of grace and care from God. Listen to this gospel that I turned to the day after I made my announcements at the parishes, a day that I'm feeling relieved to have shared the news, but I'm trembling with just the reality of how much this affects us all. Here was the gospel for that Monday morning Mass. When Jesus saw a crowd around him, he gave orders to cross to the other shore. A scribe approached and said to him, "Teacher, I will follow you wherever you go." Jesus said, "Foxes have dens and birds of the sky have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to rest his head." Another of the disciples said to him, "Lord, let me go first and bury my father." But Jesus answered him, "Follow me and let the dead bury their dead." The strength of that call, the strength of that call. If you follow me, which is the invitation I'm offering you, you will not have a place to lay your head. You will not be able to point to this house or that place or this town or that community as the place that is mine. You don't get to possess. You can only possess your call to follow me. Everything else will be given to you by my hand. So then I read the reflection in my daily devotional, and the reflection was written on that day by Father Kevin O'Brien, a Jesuit priest who's the president of Santa Clara University in California. Here's what he wrote about. He said he's been a Jesuit 25 years. He said that he's lived in 9 different cities over that time. He said that he's grateful that he has a call that makes him available for whatever God wants, but he wishes he had a pillow he could turn to be sure he could lay his head upon. He tells the story about growing up in Florida and then working there and then being moved to the exact opposite side of the country and how hard that was. However, here's what he said. After moving around so much that I felt like I did not have a home, and then approaching the end of my decade-long formation as a Jesuit priest, I finally realized the grace that was offered to me all along. My home was everywhere. In each place I was sent, God always sent incredible people and meaningful work my way. I loved the people and ministries so much, it was always hard to leave. And he goes on to talk about how what God was doing, he realizes, was creating space in him, in his interior, for the freedom of being able to go where God was calling him, no matter what the cost, and to trust that whatever was next was for the highest good. I think one of the things I've learned from leaving St. Mary's in Oneonta in 2015, something that was very hard for me to do, is that my connection to those people, that parish and that land, has not waned. I am no longer there physically, but that land is a homeland to me, and those people are like family to me. Imagine how much that affects me now that I've been the pastor of 2 beloved parishes, St. Mary's and St. Patrick's, for 6 years almost. Think of how deep those connections are. Think of how much I love this land, this gateway to the Catskills, this Hudson River, beautiful valley of people just so connected to one another and to the history of this land, to the future that we have and the past that we are not willing to ever lay aside. The land of Rip Van Winkle, the land of brick workers and railroad workers and ice men and women and farmers, and such tremendous land, such a tremendous history. I think about the fact that St. Mary's started in 1854, and that it was the only thing around. So people would cross the river in boats and over the ice in the wintertime from Newton Hook in order to come here. That's how beautiful these communities are. And then St. Mary's was so filled with growth and with faith that in 1890, it birthed a mission, St. Patrick's in Ravena. And that church has gone on to be just as vibrant, just as big, differently so, with attendance that sometimes is even greater than St. Mary's. It's amazing to look and see how these parishes have contributed to this land for all of these years and to my life in these past beautiful, blessed days that have elapsed since 2015. I will always love these parishes. And because I will always love these parishes, because this will always be a home to me, I cannot resist the bishop's call to go where he feels I am needed, simply because I want to stay where I feel I am home. As Father Kevin said in his reflection, I am called to see everywhere as home and everyone as family. Not just in a nice metaphoric way, but really and truly. That's why I have the freedom of obedience and celibacy and simplicity of life. And that's why people call me Father. I'm learning a lot from the struggles of this transition, but I also know that despite how hard learning new things can be, and despite how difficult it is, that hard doesn't mean bad, and that because of faith, we can do hard things. So I offer this reflection for you about what this transition is feeling like right now for me. And in the next installment, I'll talk about how I'm perceiving this for you and for us as a family at St. Patrick's in Ravena and St. Mary's in Coxsackie. And to all those of you who are sneaking a peek from St. Mary's in Glens Falls, who are watching this video, trying to get to know a little bit more about me by the way that I'm handling this transition, know that I am keeping my heart wide open for you. The time is not yet for me to be among you. That'll happen in the fall. But it's very clear that I'm being called to be with you, to lead you, and to love you, and that all of those things are deep desires within me, and the space that I am making in my heart for you will in no way ever diminish the love that I have for the people of Oneonta and Coxsackie and Ravena. Parents tell me that sometimes they love their firstborn child so much they can't imagine ever loving another child anywhere near as much, and then they have another child and they're blown away. I get it now. I get it. I guess that's why they call me Father. Thank you for going on this journey with me. God bless you all.